Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for the last days of Ptolemy Gray. Now, that last episode was very heavy. I'm sorry for how long it was. Hopefully, for those of y'all who don't like how long winded I am at times, that y'all were able to kind of fast forward and skim through it so that you could still get the gist of what was being said. Y'all, it's just so much of a connection that I have with every single thing that I have seen on this show. It does so much to me. But anyway, let me go ahead and get into this episode. Hopefully this won't be as long. Y'all, so the episode start out and I'm like, okay, is he having a flashback or what? Because like he seems like he's in the present. Then all of a sudden, he's trying to see what's going on and he's walking down a hall and then all we see is like this grave light and the light doing the most and he's terrified by what he's seeing because it looks like his wife in a box, like standing up, clear box. It was a lot going on. But fast forward to the house that Hilliard lives in, which is his mama's house. So like I told y'all in the last episode, his mama took her in because her mama was killed or died or something. Y'all, I forgot. She passed away. Tell me why it's early morning. She's sleeping on the couch. It is a typical hot night slash morning in Atlanta. And, you can tell it's somewhat of an older house. So might not have air conditioning in there like that. You might just have a ceiling fan or something on. So she in some shorts and like a little t-shirt, tank top or whatever, laid out on the couch. Tell me why Hilliard, old raggedy behind, roll up on her and tries to hover over her like he about to spread some thighs and butt cheeks. And so she realized what was going on because she was awakened out of her sleep. Like sometimes, I don't know if y'all have ever had that happen to y'all where you're just asleep and then you could just, it's like even though you're in a sleep, whether it's deep or not, you could tell somebody is there or something is there and you wake up. That's what she did. So she instantly woke up and like pulled a knife from like under the pillow or from somewhere where she was, pulled a knife on him, and like the mama hears the ruckus and it's like, all right, now what's going on in here? And she was like, your son. And it's like, child, she told us, look, Hilliard, go back to your room, whatever. She is the typical ignorant black mama that want to sit up there and live for a child who is trash. Your son is trash. Your son is trash. Your son is trash. So she's like, look, you already know how it is. He a young black male. He a young male. And you looking how you looking. You're beautiful. You're gorgeous, whatever. And talk about what she had on. I was like, she didn't have nothing on. Y'all would have thought she was slim, thick, and some mole. And just had cheeks out here looking like Johnny Blaze or somebody. Like you would have really thought that's what was going on. You would have thought Megan Thee Stallion was happening. You would have thought like all of these amazing things was just popping off. But she looks like a child. She is a pretty girl. She looks like a child. What she had on was not tight, revealing, nothing. She was laying on her back and nothing. She barely got a chest. I'm like, child, what is you looking at? Like, you not finna sit up here and try to make it seem like he the victim. You know your son trash. And that's the thing. I cannot with women who are like that, who live for their raggedy children. If your child wrong, your child wrong. If your child is wrong, your child is wrong. So later on, we find out she done got kicked out the house. So she is homeless because your son trash. She trying to sleep. Because she looking at her like, I was trying to sleep. Like, it's not like she was talking trash to him and or she like whispered in his ear at some point in time and now it's time to pay the piper or something. Like, what is we talking about? Your son is trash and that's it. Child, I was so tired of my spirit. So anyway, tell me why she all of a sudden appears. And I think she had been trying to knock on the door or whatever of Ptolemy's house and couldn't get him to come to the door. And he on the floor, sleep, passed out or whatever, because he going through. Like 1 minute he know what's going on, the next minute he don't. This man lives alone. He needs to have somebody with him 24 hours a day at this point. That's how bad off he is, whether anybody really want to realize it like that or not. So anyway, so she was actually coming to return his key. And she was just like, look, I, came to return your key. That's why I ended up coming in. And it is what it is. And so she tried to figure out why I smelled the way it's smelling there. And he was like, well, the toilet broke. And so she was like, okay, but how you use the bathroom though? Like, so he was like, well, when Reggie come get me to take me places or whatever, I go with him, and I number two when I go out and go to the place to eat or whatever. And when I gotta pee, I just pee in an old bean can, and I end up, pouring it down the sink and running the water. And so she was like, you can't live like this. So she's trying to tell him that she want to help clean up and put some stuff together or whatever, because he can't live like this or whatever. And she was just like, like when I tell y'all it was terrible in there, she was just like, So for whatever reason, she was just like, let me help him. Let me help him. And because y'all have to understand, she's young. Despite what she has already experienced in life, losing both parents, getting kicked out for a reason that ain't even of her own, because somebody's trifling child, that woman's child is just, I can't. Anyway, he basically was like, okay, have at it, do what you want to do. So she started in the bathroom to clean, and it is what it is. So she went in there like she really had to do a deep scrub to clean this man's bathroom. So when she was done, she was like, let me show you what a clean bathroom is supposed to look like. This is what it's supposed to look like. Not knowing that all he needed to do in order to fix the toilet was to reconnect that little chain that's, under that lid. So yeah, she learned some tricks of the trade while growing up, because her mama, of course, her mama didn't have her daddy around because the daddy was deceased or whatever, and didn't really have any other people around. And so she ended up fixing things because they ain't had no money to, pay nobody to fix nothing. So he was all happy when he came in there, man. Tell me why all of a sudden, after realizing how clean and nice the bathroom was and the fact that the toilet actually flushes again, all of a sudden he became overcome and was like, I gotta go right now. She had to rush out the bathroom because all of a sudden his body was like, okay, we ain't gotta wait. We ain't gotta hold it in no more. Oh, okay, let me blow this up real quick. So he done blew the bathroom up. And so after he came back out, tell me why. And I was like, y'all better show this realism. He came out the bathroom, or tried to come out the bathroom. She was like, go back in there and wash your hands. I said, I know that's right. So he looked at her and was like, okay, whatever. And went on back in there and washed his hands. I'm like, dang, the fact she had to tell you to wash your hands. So, she's trying to go through a few things because she notices that there is a lot of clutter, a lot of stuff going on up in there, and that, life can be better. She is seeing that there are roaches and stuff, and she was like, you're going to have to this going to have to be cleaned up. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you can't live like this. How can you live like this? And so he just looking at her like, it is what it is. And so she ends up seeing this door that, I think I saw it in the first episode as well, but he has a padlock on this door that, anybody who has eyes, you could tell that had to be some room that had some kind of sentimental value to him that had something to do with his wife. I didn't know if it was a powder room or what, but yeah. So it's a padlock on it. And so he trying to tell her, no, I ain't got no key. You can't get in there. I don't want you to go in that room. That was her room. And so she was like, no, I have to bomb all of these rooms to kill these roaches and things. Like, you can't just do certain things. You got to do all of it. So it then got to the point where he keep on having these random flashbacks or moments where this man, who I'm presuming is his daddy or some authoritative figure that he knew of when he was a child, keep coming to him, telling him that he needs to figure out where this box is. It's like a box that had it's like very specific. It's a very specific box. When you see it, you're going to know what it is when you see it. So he talking about I don't know where it is, whatever. So he telling him he got to find it. And it's somewhat like of a treasure. And he has to find it. And I'm like, well, Lord, what's in the box? So anyway, while the girl in there, she over here cleaning some stuff up. And, in this moment, he's kind of like, no, I don't want you to take my stuff. I don't want you moving my stuff. And like, he becomes very somewhat belligerent or whatever. And because of the mind state that he's in, he started to bang his head. And all this. Y'all, if you have never experienced somebody doing that in real life, in real time, because they're frustrated, because they don't know what's going on, and they're trying to understand, it's just so much confusion. It makes them super frustrated, and they start hitting themselves and hurting themselves. You would not understand. So anyway, so she has already said, I'm not gonna be able to do this on my own. She solicited, I can't even say it. She ends up soliciting, the help of some other people. These two guys, one of which was the guy who ended up fixing the second plate for him at the repast for Reggie's funeral. And so he came by and they helping her to get some stuff, and she's been able to help him to understand, like, you can't hold on to all this stuff. Are you gonna use these things? Man, that boy came in at the other dude. I don't know who he is. He that came up to them. I said, can I have this Gator suitcase? He was like, no, you can't have my stuff. I don't even know you. I said, I know that's right. I really was over here rooting for him. Like, I know that's right. Like, it's my uncle. Like, you don't leave my uncle's stuff alone. But that fool really rolled up in this house. Like, yeah, he don't need it. You don't tell him what he need. That's his. That is his. Shoot. But he did good for somebody who, like, is like on the verge of like super hoarding and all that stuff. He was doing good letting a lot of that stuff go. But so they over here doing what they doing, and he was like, let me talk to you for a second. Pulled old girl to the side, Robin, and told her, you're gonna have to come up off a little bit more, because this was more than what we bargained for. Because they actually have to load up a truck and haul this stuff somewhere else. And so it was like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. She was like, I figured out, I really do appreciate your help. So I'm like, well, dang, where she gonna get the money from? So she straight up told him, she was like, you gonna have to come up off of more money, because these people really helped a lot and you didn't need all this stuff. And so I like the fact that he is so trusting of her that he has allowed her to, like, literally go into his, like, pocket, like his little shirt pocket and things, to find money, get the money out, and then she put whatever was left back in the pocket and all that other stuff and paid them. And so they was going to take some stuff out. Looks a whole lot better in there. Looks cleaner and all that stuff. She is going to have to bomb it. She hasn't bombed it yet. They had to get all the stuff that they was going to get out first, and so that she could do the additional cleaning that she gonna do. So he was like, old boy was like, I think what I told y'all in the first episode, Philly Fred or something. He was like, well, what you gonna do? Do you need me for anything else or whatever? Because he was gonna, like, come back if need be. Didn't know if she was gonna stay there or not, because he didn't know what the situation was for her. And so she was like, well, I got kicked out. So, I mean, I guess I'm going to be here if he let me stay. Before she left out the house, she had to convince Ptolemy that she was going to come back. He stood by the door like, wait a minute. I don't know. He really stood by the door like one of those pets. Like, there are pets that really be like, okay, my owner ain't back yet. I'm anticipating them coming back. All right, now they're supposed to be back now. Where they at, though? He really stood by the door. He was like, I didn't think you was going to come back. And she was like, I told you I was coming back. He went off. He went all the way off. So came back, and she was like, all right, we got to get these bombs. So they ended up going to the store. Left out the house to go to the store to get the bombs. People really be trying her. And see, that's why, y'all, look, I told one of my friends, I said, yeah, I'm going to test my ring out today. I bought me a little ring as my little decoy, hoping that, it'll do something so people will leave me alone, because people really be rolling up on me, and I'd be like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I'm still in 6+ feet mode. Like, I don't want to talk to none of y'all, and I'm single and not looking anyway. So I'm gonna need for y'all to leave me alone. I understand the cakes are caking, and I understand my booty be doing the most. I understand. I promise you, I understand that. But that don't mean you finna get none of this. So I already know that's I know what you're looking for. You're not looking for a relationship. You're not looking to get ready. You're not looking to get to know me. I'm well aware of this. So, I was like, yeah, I got me a little engagement set / wedding ring decoy, fake situation, hoping that these people will leave me alone. And so my friend was like, good luck with that. I was like, don't do that. Do not do that. I hope these people leave me alone. Because somebody staked out today was doing the most. I was like, child, I'm trying to go up in here and get these nectarines, baby. Don't nobody have time. I need nectarines and water. I don't need nothing that you think you finna offer me. Goodbye. And I think he thinks because he was in like he had a Charger or Corvette or something. It was like a new Charger, Corvette, or one of them other fast cars. I was like, child, I don't need for y'all to understand stuff like that don't move me. It just really don't. Like, no, I'm good where I'm at, baby. I ain't got time. Anyway, so they in the store. The clerk is eyeing her down, and I'm just like, a random old ugly white. I mean, he wasn't even. I'm just like, you have all the audacity over here eyeing her down. You're probably too old to even be looking at her, knowing you. But he really was looking at her and was being disrespectful. Ptolemy, he was like very infatuated with how the setup of the store was. He was like, oh, I like how it smells in here. Child, my daddy through and through. Liking the smell of nuts and bolts and glue and grease and all the other foolishness. I'm like, what is going on? Man, he got up to the counter and they talking, and he was like, yeah, I don't like the way you looking at her. He went all the way off on the man. He said, I don't like the way you looking at her. Went off. I said, you went off, sir? She even was looking like, wait a minute. So I guess he was so through with that man that he basically had to tell her, go ahead, pay him, because I don't even want to talk to him like that. So she was like, okay, how much is this going to be? So ended up paying for the bombs and got back to the house. Man, got back to the house. The same heifer who rolled up when the other boy was over there rolled up again. This heifer rolled up. Where my money at? He owed me money. I'm talking about roll all the way up. That girl was like, all right, hold up now. You need to get up out of here with all of that. I don't know what you're talking about. So she really tried to come for him. Then she came for her. They got into a full-on fight. I'm talking about came to blows. This heifer was trying to stomp her out in some more. I was like, oh my gosh, like really went upside this girl's head and some more. I was like, oh no. So barely got out of there with her life and his life. She had to tell him to hurry up and get up off the ground because this heifer really tried to comfort him. So I was like, you owe me money. So they get back in the house and he looking at her like, wait a minute, because she was like so angry. She was so angry, which she had every right to be because all she came over there to do was to help him. So why is this random heifer coming out of nowhere, rolling up on me and fighting me? I don't even live around here. I barely even know you, and I'm fighting for you. So she is upset, and she's trying not to, she realizes she has to calm down because he is like mortified. He looking at her response, and he kind of looking at her like, and so she kind of got close to him or whatever. And so she was like, it's okay. It's all right. I wanted to cut her. I'm not going to cut her. Well, ain't nobody going to die today. He was like, oh, okay. So it's like he had tensed up, but it calmed him down when she basically was like, I ain't going to hurt nobody. Well, she ended up bombing the place and they left out and they went and stayed in a hotel for the night. They ended up getting some food or whatever. And like before she bombed the place, she had gone back into the wife's room where they had a whole lot of clothes that had dry cleaning bags on them and all this other stuff. And so she took one of the dresses and she took like one of these little it's like a decorative clip that's kind of like this, that had like little pearls and stuff on it. I have some that are kind of similar, but not to that degree, but y'all know what I'm talking about. She took one of those and she ended up going into the bathroom while he was still eating because she, wanted to kind of wash the day away because she said she smelled like some of the bomb stuff. So she turned the water on and then she looking at the dress. She took the dress and she took the little bow. She put the little bow on her head, the little comb. So while he in the middle of eating, the man who I'm presuming is his daddy comes to him. And he talking to him and he talking about, you got to remember this. And he really talking to him. And so for whatever reason, something prompts him to get up. So he done got up and he starts banging on the door. Talking about, let me in, whatever. And so he done bust the door open. He see the girl with the dress on and the bow on her head. And in his mind, at first, she's looking like his wife. So then eventually he snaps back into reality and sees that it's the girl. And he was like, what you doing with that on? That's my wife's dress. You ain't got no business with that on. You don't need to have that on. She was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'll take it off. They took everything off. All she got is her bra and her panties on. So of course he becomes even more mortified by seeing her basically naked. And he run out the building. So he run out the room and run into traffic and I'm like, Lord, this is too much. And so she done calmed him down. She done ran after him, found him, whatever. So they talking. Everything goes well. And so she done made it back to his house the next day. Wants to know, did you know about this appointment? What doctor's appointment you supposed to be going to? He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so she was like, is this something that Reggie was supposed to go and take you to or what? Like what the whole time he like, I don't know. Like he genuinely, I don't think he knew for real that time. So old boy, Philly Fred, I guess is what he said his name was. He came and picked him up. So they are getting their entire lives, rapping to hip hop hooray, ho, hey, they doing that little thing. They even got him to dance a little bit. So they get to this mansion. And I'm like, wait a minute, what about the doctor's office though? What is we doing? And they pull up, I'm like, so they get there. So Philly Fred like, okay, what kind of doctor's office this supposed to be? Where this supposed to be? So she was like, I don't need no more help. I got it from here. Thank you for all you've done so far. So he was like, well, if you need me, call me. I'll be around. Cool. So they end up, walking up to the residence. And I guess a nurse or whatever she's supposed to be was like, we've been expecting you. Do you need anything? Would you like anything? Man, off rip, he been said he hoped they offer Dr. Pepper for something to drink. And so, first thing she said before he even sat down, would you like something to drink? He said, oh yeah, Dr. Pepper. Then went off. So they sit down, they wait on the actual doctor to appear. So the doctor want to know if she Reggie, because you know how some people, they, it could have been a nickname for all we know. And so she was like, no, I'm Robin. And so ended up telling the doctor about how he passed away, was killed or whatever. And we don't know what's going on because one of the times that she and Ptolemy were talking, they were talking and he was like, well, what happened to him? And she was like, we don't know. All we know is that he got killed. The police don't care. And, they ain't gonna do nothing about it. So anyway, they talking to the doctor, and the doctor is trying to explain to him that they want to try something on him, and that this process was something that he was supposed to talk with him and the nephew about. Wanted to know if he'd be willing to go through with it, and so his uncle, the man or daddy, whoever he's supposed to be, he keeps appearing. And I'm like, Lord, what's going on? So he wants to know if he remembers certain things, and I'm like, he don't really remember, because it seems like when he don't remember, that's when old boy comes from out of nowhere. So he was like, I need to know if you really remember, because do you even remember what you had for breakfast? Like it's bad. So he keeps coming to him, telling him, there's one thing you need to remember. He keeps telling him about some box. So I'm like, Lord, what happened? So anyway, they want to know, will you allow him to do this procedure on him today, which right now it is where they're going to insert him with something that they have concocted from a needle. And it's going to be something that's going to last 12 to 24 hours or whatever. And it should work where he remembers everything and he is like he was before he started having this onset of dementia, whatever. And so she was like, well, I don't know. We might need to leave. And it just got to the point where they went on ahead and went through with it. And I was like, I don't know. The Alabama in me was like, woo, child. The Alabama in me was off rip, was like, no, baby, we ain't finna do this. And y'all looking at him like he is a good guinea pig too. I was like, no, baby. So she ended up having a one-on-one conversation with him, with Ptolemy, and he ended up saying he'll go ahead and do it. So he injected him with the stuff, and I was just like, okay, whatever. I ain't here for it, baby. I am not here for it. But injecting him with it, it kind of was a lot for him. And immediately, when he got home, he was like, all right, now, I understand how much time we gonna have. Because he's like, he still remembers her. He has a way of, saying her name. He was like, he calls her like the first the first something of spring, basically about a robin, about birds or whatever. So that's the way he always remembers her. So like he remembers a lot of stuff. So it's to the point where he is very, very aware of what's going on. He remembers everything in the moment. And so he was like, "You got a car?" She was like, "No, but I can get one." So end up calling a taxi or Uber or somebody. They drop him off in the area where he got killed, his nephew. So he's asking people, you know, if they heard about what happened. The first person he rolled up on was some man who had a bottle of alcohol, and he like offered him some, and he took the bottle. He looked at it, and so the girl was like, "No, man." He took a sip of it because I was like, "Girl, you don't know how it go. You young, you don't know what's going on here." And I understand. I understand we in a pandemic, a panorama, and everything else that people like to call it, but you don't understand. In certain situations, you kind of gotta take take what's being offered in order for them to say, "Okay, I can trust you. You down to earth. You don't think you better than me, okay?" So he took a sip of it, and then he ended up calling this other woman who said she basically saw the situation. So she saw it. She said she saw it. She said, "Oh yeah, I heard, you know, the gunshot and I ran, but I saw they looked like they were meeting. I couldn't really hear what they were talking about. One of them had zigzag scarf on or something like that." And so she ended up pointing him into the direction of where the caution tape was, where they had everything blocked off, where his body was, before they, of course, removed it. And all you could see in that moment was puddle of water where it had rained, obviously, and pieces of the caution tape were in the puddle of water. So he's trying to figure out, you know, who killed the nephew. And in his mind, he is like, "I have to find out who killed him. He was too good of a person." Like, he really starts going off. He was like, "He was too good of a man. He always did right by me. So I got to do right by him. His name has to stay intact." Like, he went off. Like, he was tired. He was like, "What we not finna do with this?" He was too good of a man. I was like, "I know that's right. Set it off for your nephew. Set it off." But yeah, y'all, he starts having these moments where old girl is realizing that he is, you know, kind of going off the rails. It hadn't even been 12 hours yet since this injection happened. So she's panicking, don't know what to do. She called the doctor. Instead of the doctor coming over, the nurse, helper, whatever she was, came over there and was like, "I don't know if I need to let you do this. I don't know if I need to let you do this. What are you going to do? Whatever. And she got a needle or something because there was supposed to be like a second round, and there's no guarantees of what you might see or what might happen. And like, he is worse off in this moment than he was before they ever injected him with this stuff. And again, that's where the Alabama in me was like, "No, babe, you went off." So she ended up injecting him, and it's burning and all this other stuff. I'm like, Lord, don't nobody have time. He finally calms down. I'm like, Lord, this is too much. And he talking about, "Why this happened? What you done did to me?" I'm like, Lord, he gone, Lord. Don't nobody have time. This show that tore my nerves up. Y'all, I really been sitting there like, y'all want me to cry every episode. I feel like y'all want me to cry every episode. It's been so heavy because I legit know people who are like this. I have met people who are exactly like him. The way he speaks in general, I hear my daddy. I hear a lot of people on my daddy's side of the way. They went the country where they talk, all that. But anyway, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. Let's talk about it down in the comment section. Bye.